What's up, everyone? Welcome into DodgerHeads presented by DodgerBlue.com. My name is Jeff Spiegel, joined today by a special guest, Greg Bergman, over from ESPN LA, host of Blue Review as well. Greg, thanks for being with us. Dodgers are very good at baseball, is the lead here.
Is that what's going on with them? They're pretty good. Yeah, that's exactly what they are right now. It feels great though too, doesn't it, Jeff? They are so much better than every other team around them. It's kind of just incredible in every part of the game too.
Totally. They've won 33 out of 50 games. They've lost only 4 times since the beginning of the month. It feels like, Greg, a month ago, people were panicked because this team was hovering around 500. We were joking right before we came on. They now have an 8-game lead in the division, 9 games over the Giants, 10 over the Arizona Diamondbacks, who many people believed that the Diamondbacks were going to be the biggest threat. 10-game lead over the Diamondbacks, the largest divisional lead of any team in Major League Baseball. I guess the simplest way I want to ask this question before we dive into some talk on Yamamoto is this the team that you expected to see? Do you feel like there's more that they could get to, or is this kind of meeting expectations?
So, yes, this is the team that I expected to see. I expected them to be a team that could win anywhere between 100 and 117 games this year. Either all of them are all possible still.
Totally.
But can they get better? The scary thing is, yes, they can get better. I know Freddie Freeman hit that grand slam last night, but before that, he was kind of struggling along. I think he only had 4 RBIs in his last 2 weeks of baseball. So he just wasn't Freddie Freeman yet. If he starts becoming Freddie Freeman, then all of a sudden it opens up so much more and they're just that much better. Tyler Glasnow wasn't great in his last start, but has been really, really good. So yes, there's still room for improvement, which is very, very scary for the rest of the league.
Well, and then on the rotation side, again, we're going to talk Yamamoto here in a second, but Buehler, his best outing was his last one. So if he can tap into that more, he becomes a weapon. Bobby Miller due back in the next few weeks. Clayton Kershaw progressing. Dustin May potentially at some point later in the season. And so you just start stacking. Evan Phillips is on the injured list. Ryan Brazier is on the injured list. You just start stacking all these guys who could come back and could contribute. And again, it's not like we're banking on, well, if these things happen, there'll be a 105 win team. They're already on pace to be better than that without all of the guys I just mentioned.
Right. All of these dudes are all going to come back at some point, and then they're going to go up and down. There's going to be other guys that go onto the IL and then they'll come off. That's the beauty of this team and what Andrew Friedman has built, and that what they did it on purpose, especially for the season, to be built for the postseason. So they are all healthy at that point. And so that's kind of what we're saying. Fine, Evan Phillips, go on the IL for a little while.
Right.
Just Brazier, sure, go ahead. Joe Kelly, we don't need you right now. It doesn't matter. Yeah. So, and that's the biggest thing about this too, is that, look, no matter what, they're going to win, like we've been saying, 100 to 110 games, whatever it happens to be. They're going to make the playoffs. They're going to be either number 1 or number 2 in baseball. They're going to have that bye in that first week. It matters about that point there.
Right.
And that's hard to be like you guys, the Dodger heads, and having to talk about the Dodgers every day, to be like, well, doesn't matter.
Right. Right.
Because we need that point. That's the only thing that matters.
Totally. It's fair. It's fair. And I think, to transition here, one of the reasons that maybe there's more optimism about how the Dodgers could look in that scenario is because of the guy who took the ball last night, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, who has had 3 or fewer earned runs in 8 of the 9 starts since South Korea. This stat from Mike Petriello. He has a 2.38 ERA since Korea, a 59 to 10 strikeout to walk ratio. You mentioned Glasnow, but between Glasnow, who looks like a bona fide ace, and Yamamoto, who received the biggest contract of any pitcher in history, for him to be as good as he has been, Greg, feels like one of the reasons I am most optimistic about this team.
Yeah, because you have 2 legitimate aces right now. And see, I think this is what we don't talk about it enough, that Shohei Ohtani, when he came here, he said, get me pitching. He said, I want Tyler Glasnow. I want Yoshinobu Yamamoto. We didn't think we were going to get all 3 of those dudes, including Shohei. But he said, I want those guys to be able to have my best chance to win in the postseason. And he got them both, and he got legitimate aces at part of it. So, yeah, Yamamoto has been absolutely fantastic. He has, because he has 4 or 5 pitches, and he was throwing a slider yesterday that he hasn't shown really at all so far. So if he has another out pitch to go along with that ridiculous curveball, the crazy, stupid splitter that could just a knockout pitch most of the time, then he's going to become even more dangerous. But the fact of the matter is, we're seeing what they wanted and what we got out of Yamamoto. He is a star.
Yeah, this was the quote from Dave Roberts. I think the thing that makes Yoshinobu special is the 4-pitch mix you referenced. When you see teams again, and when you see him 2 or 3 times in a night, you have to be able to attack in different ways. He has all those different weapons. Will Smith did a really nice job last night sequencing as well. The secondary stuff was used in the right counts, showing his fastball we needed to. And there was a quote from Freddie Freeman that was asked, like, hey, what stands out? And he said, ever since spring training, he commands all his pitches. He can throw them anywhere. It's hard to figure out what he's going to do next. And so when you have that kind of stuff with that kind of command, this is what happens. Good stuff every time he goes out. And that's what's so, I think, encouraging is so many guys, you're like, well, once the book comes out on Yamamoto, other teams are going to be able to adjust. And then there's the honeymoon period is going to be over. But the scouting report on Yamamoto is if the command stays where it is, he continues to control these pitches. You mentioned Dave Roberts was even saying they're going to add pitches to his repertoire because they want some of that stuff to be able to move both ways against righties. And so with him, there's almost a reason, Greg, to believe that it's only going to get better from here, or at least he's going to be able to maintain this sort of post-Korea performance that we've seen.
No, absolutely. And they talk about it on the broadcast. I love listening to Joe and Oral all the time. Oral's so smart, but he was saying the exact same stuff that you're saying right there from Dave, and that they're adding to certain things. I think it was 2 starts ago. They were talking about how they're adding, they want him up higher in the strike zone. So he's now throwing higher pitches to bring that fastball up above the plate so that it changes the eye levels. And that's what he's doing. So we talk so much about adjustments of the adjustments for rookies. And he seems to be doing that in real time as it's going on throughout each game. So he was just throwing the splitter as the out pitch. Now he's adding the slider. Now his fastball is going up higher. He's just changing so many different things as it's going along that eventually it's gonna be like, I don't know where to look with this guy. Yeah. So I mean, it makes it very, very difficult to adjust as a hitter to adjust to this. And also he throws with so much velocity too. He's up around 99 a lot of the times as well. So
looking at StatCast last night, he was charted as throwing 6 different pitches. He threw 40 fastballs, 24 splitters, 12 curves, 11 sinkers, 10 sliders, and 3 cutters. So you've got 6 pitches, 5 of which he's throwing at least 10% of the time. We know he's in the zone a lot, 55% in the zone, 27% whiff rate last night. And so you mentioned, I mean, he's throwing the fastballs touching nearly 97. He's got a curveball that's down at 75. When you throw all of those pitches, and I think the key is, like, there's guys that can throw lots of pitches, but what made, like, Yu Darvish, for example, so great was Yu Darvish just, sort of mythically has like 8 or 9 pitches that he can throw at any point. What makes guys like him special is command. It's one thing if you can throw a curveball, but if it's never in the strike zone, guys see curveball and they say just lay off because it's going to be below the zone or wide. If you can throw 5 or even 6 pitches in the zone, Greg, like, can you imagine being a major league hitter and not knowing if it's going to be 97 or 75 and trusting that no matter what spin you see out of his hand is going to be in the zone? It's got to be terrifying.
No, it is. It's extremely terrifying. I remember back in the day, like Eric Gagne, he did a lot of things like that too. He would throw you a 98-mile-per-hour fastball and it would be like blown away. And then the next pitch was like a 75-mile-an-hour changeup. And you're like, how can I catch up to these kind of things? I don't know what's going to come. And very much Yamamoto is doing just those things that you're talking about. The one thing that I see, and I think this is all pitchers in general right now, but around the 5th, 6th inning, he's starting to slow down. He's like cruising through that first 4 innings. And in the 5th, 6th inning, he just all of a sudden that pitch count jumps way up. He'll throw it'd be like a 25, 30 pitch inning. I think that's almost every pitcher in Major League Baseball. Yeah. But if I can I'm trying to find something, Jeff, to nitpick. And if that's the only thing that I'm going to nitpick, I mean, that's just an everybody thing. He has been everything in advertised as and more.
Yeah. Last night, by the way, the first time he got to 100 pitches as well. He had gotten a 99, but there were people kind of like, oh, is that a number? And Dave said, hey, we want to get him there eventually. They've also talked about the 6-man rotation and how that was part of the negotiations is like, hey, we want to keep you roughly on the same schedule. And so I think the only question I have, and this was brought up on our last live show, Greg, I'd love to get your take is, is there any sense of nervousness that the Dodgers are in a 6-man rotation? They're sort of, Yamamoto is comfortable in it. They can't do a 6-man rotation come postseason time. And so do you think there's going to be like almost a weaning off of this as the season goes on, where by the time we get to September, October, maybe it's down to a 5-man rotation? Because I think the Dodgers, knock on wood, are going to have enough pitching depth to not have to go to like a 4-man or a 3-man rotation where guys are pitching early necessarily. But I think it is a fair question of how is a guy like Yamamoto going to adjust if he's been on a 6-man rotation all year, and then come postseason time, he gets a week off and he needs to be on a 5-man rotation.
Yeah, I think it's a very, very fair question, because like you get 4 days in between sometimes it starts in the postseason, and that's not something that he understands how to do or does. I think he can do it. There will be, I would assume that Andrew Friedman is a very, very smart man. Yeah. He is going to do whatever he can to wean him off it. I would assume that somewhere in the middle of summer, like mid to late July, after the All-Star break, maybe they start doing those kind of things so he's ready when it comes to the postseason. But right now, absolutely, you stay on that as long as possible, because you don't want him to get hurt, and you don't want to see everybody to see everything that he has. So you absolutely, I like the fact that he's that 6-man rotation right now, and every other pitcher needs it too in this rotation. Right. No matter what, everybody else does. So as much as he can, like I do think that when it gets down to that point, you need to have him like stretched out to what he can be in the postseason, to be able to pitch twice in a series. Yeah. I don't know if he'll be ready for that. And that's going to be a very big talking point amongst whatever talking point there is for the Dodgers at that point.
Yeah. And what we should say, look, the Dodgers are not on a 6-man rotation, as they've told us multiple times throughout the season, just like a lot of these guys are not platoon players who only happen to play against lefties and righties. So,
right. I mean, Yamamoto was supposed to pitch on Sunday. He didn't. He pitched on Monday. That's the 6-man rotation.
Yep. Yeah. All right, Greg, let folks know where they can find you. Tell us about the Blue Review, everything you got going on over at ESPN LA.
So yeah, the Blue Review is with myself, Marcus Grant. He also works a lot at the NFL Network, and Parker Bell. We do the Blue Review every single day from 9:30 to 9:55 on the ESPN LA YouTube channel. And we have people like Jeff come on as much as possible. We had Alana Rizzo on a couple weeks ago, so we like to bring people like that on. But we talk just this. It's live, 30 minutes or 25 minutes every single day, and you can get in the YouTube chat and have conversations with us. We try to answer as many questions as we can, but it's just this, talking Dodgers at the first thing in the morning. It's great. So appreciate you if you can all come on over.
Yeah, well, hey, by the time this gets posted, I will have been on Blue Review this morning. So go ahead, check out. Right. It's on the ESPN LA YouTube page, right, Greg?
It's youtube.com/ESPN LA.
Yeah, go check that out. I'll be on there talking all sorts of Dodger stuff. Always fun when I get on with those guys. So, Greg, thank you so much for joining us, everybody on YouTube. Thank you for joining us as well. Scott and I will be live with a post-game show tonight, Tuesday night. So make sure you check us out after the game tonight. Otherwise, enjoy the rest of your day, everybody. And, of course, go Dodgers.
Go Blue.